Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my new or updated patrons, Joe D, Don N, Irvin W, my man, welcome back, David K, and Donald M. Thank you guys for choosing to support the channel. Oh, and Tesla Howie, I see you, brother. At the time of recording, Tesla stock is now up over 73% year to date. Everyone seems to be asking, is this for real? What's going on? All I'll say, as a long-term investor, for me, whether we're down 90% or up 90%, absolutely nothing changes with my view of Tesla's fundamentals as a business over the next 5, 10 plus years. And yes, it's true that the Fed has turned slightly more dovish and earnings have been better than I think a lot of Wall Street was expecting. So are we out of the woods yet? Definitely not ready to go that far, but there's a reason most people should not try to time the market, because plenty of people were guaranteeing that Tesla stock would be at $50 or $60 around this time, and it's clearly not. Due to some regulatory filing changes, there are some rumors that Tesla may be finally gearing up for its entry into the Malaysian market when it comes to vehicle deliveries. The Malaysian auto market is in the neighborhood of 500,000 cars sold per year, so if Tesla can clip, let's call it between 10 and 20% long term in that market, that would be between 50 and 100,000 vehicles, not insignificant. In 2017, Tesla established a subsidiary in Malaysia, but it was really just for accounting and finances for emerging market countries. In this regulatory change, the subsidiary name was Tesla Services. Now it's just been changed to Tesla. They've dropped the services. And according to the notification, the subsidiary is now responsible for wholesale and retail of new motor vehicles and other service activities, maintenance and repair as well. So this is not nothing, but tread cautiously. Elon's mom has been kindly continuing to give us more sneak peeks into Giga Berlin. This most recent one, she shows us Model Ys both in the Quicksilver and the Deep Crimson. And I have to ask, do you think the United States color selection is too stale? Tesla should implement some new color options, or they should keep the production simple and scale to massive size. Speaking of scaling, here's a fun chart from Sam at ARC. Here we have annual full battery electric vehicle sales. As you can see, Tesla in the yellow still leading the way. But what I wanted to point out, most people are still projecting linear growth in the EV space. But when you look at charts like this, you can see these are not linear growth patterns, but we are starting to form the up on the S curve. Historically, for new technological adoption, things get really interesting between 5 and 15%, which is exactly where we are, of course, depending on the geography. So again, as a long-term investor, whenever these recessionary talks are more in the rear view and there's more clarity with interest rates and they come down, maybe quantitative easing comes back, whenever that may be, I just think people have no idea what's about to happen. And whether it's 1 year or 3 years, we will get through this recession and enter a more easing normal environment, and it's coming. Kathy Wood also jumped on a Twitter Spaces last night with Grant Cardone, and I have my own opinions about him, but either way, Kathy said this about Tesla stock.
I think Tesla, so to give you a sense of that, I think Tesla hit $180 today. We have put out on our website our Tesla model, and you can manipulate it if you'd like to see how we get to these numbers. But that $180, we believe, will in 5 years. Now, this is our research, and of course we could be wrong for compliance reasons. I have to say that, but our conviction is very high that that $180, if you do hold it, don't trade it, will scale to $1,500 in our base case. It's actually a little north of that now, so almost tenfold in 5 years. Why? Because electric vehicles have entered the sweet spot of their S-curve, and Tesla is leading the charge, so to speak.
And to anybody that's frustrated with Kathy Wood because you lost money in ARK funds, look, I understand, but if you didn't expect something like to happen in a year and environment like 2022, you shouldn't be in her funds in the first place. NFA, just my .02. Kathy also said if these other automakers don't switch over to lithium-ion battery technology, they won't be able to catch up with Tesla in terms of price declines without losing money. I would just say, even if they are already committed to lithium-ion tech, like say GM for example, they're still not going to be able to catch up because they just don't have the software and overall talent at their companies in this new digital EV space yet. Let me be clear for any new viewers, I want more EVs. I want other companies to succeed. I'm just calling it how I see it. You guys have heard me talk a lot about fitness and wellness, but honestly, the last few years from a fitness standpoint have been a low point relative to the track I was on. Really bad back injury, family tragedies, etc. I prefer to be about it rather than talk about it, so I'll just say, if I'm blessed with a healthy year, you'll see the former fitness aficionado version of Dylan you've yet to see. As a kid, it was about looking good for girls, but now it's about mental discipline, continued learning, energy, vitality, mobility, and functional movement. Yes, Athletic Greens is going to be a part of my journey back to my roots and one of my passions. We just can't hit peak performance mentally or physically without key nutrients, and AG1 has us covered with 75 vitamins, minerals, and probiotics in every serving. I'll admit, I've become a huge sourcing snob the past 6 months, and I honestly think you should too. 90% of the supplement industry is garbage. AG1 is of course in the 10% you can trust to be sourced well, and it's independently certified by NSF. Yes, of course, always strive to eat nutrient-dense food, but no matter how varied and balanced your diet is, you're most likely still deficient somewhere. If you want to try it out and do something your body will thank you for, you can get 5 free travel packs and a 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 with every new purchase. The link is in the description below. In terms of what could actually change from this, it may be a non-story, but the narrative is that Tesla is going to start putting more pressure on its suppliers to try to continue to drive down costs and negotiate to help, of course, keep up with Tesla's own price cuts. However, we've been talking about the suppliers, they're already struggling when it comes to financials. Please know statements like that are very general, and yes, the industry is far more nuanced than that. But as always, and especially now in this recession with Elon being recession paranoid, they're attacking every area of cost and suppliers are not immune. Reuters is saying in China, Tesla is already pressing their suppliers to lower costs. Again, what will happen from this is anybody's guess. I will say, if any company has the pricing power and negotiating power, it's 100% Tesla. Why? Because they have the scale that nobody else has when it comes to guaranteed and expected EV demand. Meaning, if these suppliers are going to make concessions for any company, the company is Tesla. Apparently, at a meeting last month, Tesla had an idea of one supplier cutting their costs by 10%. And remember, Tesla has the negotiating power in some cases to say, well, we can write new code and use a different chip or make an adjustment to put that pressure on because they're more flexible, nimble, and agile than everybody else. The long-range Model Y wait times have been pushed back. Previously, this was February to March, and now it stands as March to May. One of the Cybertruck prototypes was spotted, and yes, it has this new design for the side mirror. And please don't flame me for this, but am I the only one that thinks this is one of the least flattering angles for the Cybertruck? Now, yes, I know it's a work truck, a beast, a utility. I still want to have one. I'm just saying I think it looks better from the front than the back. In previous versions we've seen in the public, the side mirrors were more rectangular, and now they're testing out this triangular looking shape. And I don't want to over speculate here, but in this newer image that was shared about 2 days ago, it looks like this back portion of the window is all the way down. And maybe it's just the angle from this one image, but if you keep this area right here in mind, it looks like this panel in the older version that we saw at Giga Austin is now removed. One big question mark is how functional will the tonneau cover be, because Rivian has not implemented it very well. They've had a decent amount of issues with theirs. In this image, it looks to be rolled up 80 or 90% of the way, and hopefully, of course, it will go all the way up. I would imagine it will. Let me know if you guys spot anything different, because most of us here can't get enough of Cybertruck talk. In case you're out there saying, you got any of that new Cybertruck footage? I got you covered. And I would be inclined to believe this is the latest beta production version, because I've never seen the shape of the side mirror before. And yes, Tesla wanted to deliver this car with no side mirrors, but the word is that US regulations do not allow it. Will they be removable? Also, the rumor is yes. However, of course, the big question would be, how does that impact your visibility? Time will tell. Netflix has struck a new deal with GM and other automakers. Sadly, no financial details were disclosed, so we don't know how much, if anything, GM is paying for this relationship, but it sounds like it's not nothing. So on Netflix, on certain shows where it's relevant, Netflix will start showing cars like the Bolt, the Lyric, the Hummer pickup, and cars from other automakers we don't know who on different TV series and films. They'll kick off this new partnership with a commercial during the Super Bowl featuring Will Ferrell. And if you watch any of these 3 shows, be sure to keep your eyes open for some GM EVs this year. Man, I don't want to be cynical, but the comedy seems to be continuing this week. Look at this new partnership between Honda and GM looking to develop hydrogen full fuel cells. Bear in mind, this is the same GM and Mary Barra that said publicly they did their due diligence on Nikola Motors, and we all know how that turned out. Honda will target annual sales of around 2,000 units of this new system in the middle of the decade, aiming to boost that to 60,000 units per year in 2030. Let me just clear the screen and repeat this. Their goal for 7 years from now is 60,000 units per year on a technology that has not really been proven. And look, if you want to pursue this tech for heavy trucking in the commercial applications, I understand it. I guess be my guest. We need different technologies, that's fine. But they're also saying this will be for their own fuel cell electric vehicles as well, not just commercial vehicles. We've talked many times in the past how these joint partnerships, joint ventures very rarely turn out to be successful. It's just too hard with multinational conglomerates going different directions trying to work together. But they're saying production of this system will start this year. And they said with this next gen system, they're looking to more than double durability, whatever that may actually mean, and they want to bring costs down by 2/3. Yeah, I just say, color me skeptical, I'll believe it when I see it. There are words on the screen, but for me, sometimes there are just no words. Volvo is now hyping up its new EV Blitz, bringing 5 different EVs to the market over the next few years, 3 SUVs and 2 sedans, as well as a luxury electric van that will start selling in Asia. Given that Volvo is partially owned by Geely, they will of course be focused primarily on the Asian markets again to start, and this van would be based on Geely's Zeekr brand. It should be noted Volvo has carved out and sold its gas engine and hybrid powertrain operations to Geely. In addition to the electric van that we don't know for sure if it's coming to the US market or not, it's going to be EV versions of their main products, the XC and the S lineup. Here we have Enphase, known for their microinverter, solar and battery projects, now announcing a new exciting project that is expected to work with most EVs.
Today I'm going to demonstrate our bidirectional EV charging technology. Now with Enphase's bidirectional charger, an EV can charge from clean solar or the grid, and it can send clean energy back to the home or the grid when needed. And soon, a bidirectional EV charger that'll provide a link between your car and your home. The system can also include an IQ battery to store the energy you make for use whenever you need it.
The more products like this, the better. The 3 main use cases for this would be vehicle to home. This also enables vehicle to grid, meaning you can now bring your car into the equation for a virtual power plant. And third would be green charging. If you have solar, you can of course use any remaining solar power generated to charge your car with green energy. Yes, the question remains, how useful will this be? Are these car batteries big enough? People want to have their cars charged when they need to drive them, which is why Tesla has been focusing on doing this type of utility with the Powerwall. Just a reminder of where Ford is still at, even though they've been pushing the hardest for EVs, maybe of any legacy OEM. They sold 146.3 thousand vehicles in the US in January, which was slightly up over 2022. However, 91% of those car sales were still internal combustion vehicles. I can't confirm any deals with Tesla from this, but as we've been saying, LFP is going to be a huge deal over the next 10 years, and we want domestic production in the States. That's exactly what we're getting from both Our Next Energy with their Gigafactory in Michigan and a Turkish firm, Control Matik, in South Carolina. Both of these are said to be exclusively for LFP battery cells. The Turkish company in South Carolina is looking to begin production mid-2024 with 3 gigawatt hours, but they want to expand to 6 gigawatt hours. The factory from Our Next Energy is definitely bigger. They're talking 20 gigawatt hours by the end of 2027, and they already have offtake deals with 10 different companies totaling 36 gigawatt hours until then. Last week, we talked about what could be Tesla's largest service center in Hamilton, Ontario. Drive Tesla Canada telling us today the vote just happened. It was unanimous, all but guaranteeing Tesla will be opening that service center at Lime Ridge. Find me on Twitter at DylanLoomis22. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.